Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down under the mat. We are 1 week away from Saturday night's main event, 2 weeks out from the Royal Rumble. Let's talk about all things professional wrestling. As you can tell, we have Penta himself joining us for the podcast today. Mr. Penta, how are you feeling after your Raw debut?
I'm not going to do a terrible Mexican accent. I thought about it for a second, and I was like, no, I think
Good idea.
I'm not going to do that. It was a great debut. Chad Gable is a legend of the business.
Yep,
super
absolutely.
proud to be wrestling with the big boys now and away from that other company. Oh, yeah, it was great. It was good. The Mexican Destroyer is a fantastic move. Super thankful for our friend Pat McAfee for introducing that to the world. And no fear forever. Aussie.
Zero miedo.
Can I take it off now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome down under the mat. We are here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. It has been a hell of a week for professional wrestling this week, and with Dan's excellent interpretation of Penta, we will kick off the show discussing his massive Raw debut.
Pretty sure that was a word-for-word transaction of what his promo was on Raw.
Yeah, nearly.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
There's something else about his daughter and how proud he was of Mexico.
That got me emotional, man.
It was great. I also went over time. It was probably 2 minutes longer than I should have been. Sorry. I apologise, podcast listeners.
Okay, so this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about Penta, because I'm going to call him out, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, thank you. Spreading around this news article that Penta ran over time and other talents segments got cut is the biggest load of dog shit I've heard in my life.
What I find hilarious is that they're on Netflix and they've said 4 weeks now, we don't have a hard time cut anymore. And even if they did, right, it'd still be 3 hours because that's what the other markets that still have it on TV are.
Correct.
This episode of Raw was 2 hours and 34 minutes.
Yep.
So you're telling me they cut 26 minutes of time? Mm-hmm. No, they didn't.
And what? That's the key piece of information. No one's saying what segments got cut. Who got impacted?
What story I believe, which has also come out, was that some of the wrestlers had booked flights out of San Jose and they wanted to leave Raw earlier to get to their flights on time.
Yeah, okay.
And if that's the case,
then they cut their own segments technically.
Yeah. Sure, good for you. But if you know the show can potentially go from 8 till 11 and you book a flight at 11:30,
that's your own fault.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's on you.
And I wouldn't be blaming somebody else just for that. Because look, let's all be clear, that match between Penta and Chad Gable was brilliant.
It was great.
Everybody that said when Penta was going to come from AEW, he was going to be shackled and he was never going to be able to do what he does. He took a German suplex on the ring apron.
Yep.
He did a Canadian Destroyer. He did flips. He did all of his moves.
The selling of the leg throughout the match, perfect.
Gable was fantastic. They took spots outside of the ring. I couldn't have asked for more for a debut for Penta.
Yeah.
The way that he came out with the new music, with the flames, the fire. I mean, also...
Bit on the
nose with all the Los Angeles fires, and obviously our thoughts go out to everybody that may or may not be impacted by those over in the US, and thank you to anybody that's ever dealt with firefighters and fires of that size, because those of us in Canberra, we've had them. It's actually the 20-year anniversary of the Canberra fires, which was pretty bad. And we, being Australia and a hot country, have bushfires fairly often, so we know what it's like. So thoughts go out to everybody impacted. I just thought it was kind of funny that Penta comes out and there's just flames everywhere behind him, and I was like, ooh.
I mean, excellent aura, though. Absolutely love it.
It looked brilliant. It did.
Very, very happy for him to get to the big leagues, as Michael Cole liked to say. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's been gunning for this for essentially his entire career, and he's finally made it. Like, you could see it in his family. Like, they were all in tears, his daughter especially.
Oh, for sure. And Pentagon, his dad was wrestling in the 90s.
Yeah, he was in a Royal Rumble once.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Which is crazy to think about.
And I think from a WWE perspective, and I think we've probably discussed this on the pod before, is that they've been looking for the next luchador since Rey Mysterio for years.
There he is.
They tried with Sin Cara, didn't work. They've tried with Dragon Lee.
I feel like they haven't put enough effort to have a proper shot with Dragon Lee.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But before that, there was Kalisto, there was Sin Cara, there was
The Grand Metalik.
And then there was the Lucha House Party.
Yep.
Who was the ones that came out on the lawnmower?
Oh, the Mexicools.
The Mexicools. Like they've had luchadors and they've had Mexican style wrestlers, and it's just never quite worked out. I think Penta is the closest fit that they're going to have to having that character work out, because that promo that he cut, I think I saw somebody say this online and I stand by it. Penta's promo for 5 minutes on Raw is better than Ricochet ever did in WWE. And it was not even in his first native tongue.
Yeah.
Like English is his second language, and it was a
really
better
well.
promo than a lot of people in that company have cut before.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving along, because we've got a lot to talk about on this episode. Kicking off Monday Night Raw, CM Punk interrupted by Seth Rollins.
Dude, the clips of Punk where he turns to Michael Cole and Pat. He's, why couldn't it be Rhea Ripley? Why? Somebody else.
Completely agree. Gotta love having Rhea interrupt. But it was not. It was Seth Rollins. And then they both got interrupted by Drew McIntyre. And I was just sitting on my couch watching Raw during this segment, just smiling, because I was like, the three of them are
good.
absolute fire together. And they've all confirmed they will be in the Royal Rumble.
This is a huge Royal Rumble, man.
We've got such a stacked card already, so we'll quickly run through the list of who's been confirmed, including confirmations on SmackDown.
Yep.
We've got John Cena.
Yep.
Roman Reigns.
Yep.
CM Punk.
Yep.
Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
Apparently on SmackDown the other week, LA Knight and Jey Uso were also confirmed for the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
So just that by themselves, nearly a third of the field.
But
you could easily pick any one of them and they would win.
Yeah, but it's not cannon fodder.
No.
And I think we're going to put a video out. Check our YouTube for it later on in the week for our 2025 Royal Rumble predictions. I think the women's Royal Rumble has a lot of returns, surprises, and veterans that can come into it.
I think with the men's, they just use their roster.
I think the men's just has to be the top of the top, the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
When you've got Cena, Roman, Punk, and Seth in there, like you can't throw bloody. I'm trying to look at a card to see if we can put somebody up on screen.
Kofi.
Nah, Kofi will probably be in there. He'll get a Kofi spot like he normally does. Damian Priest will be in there. Jimmy Uso will be in there. I was thinking of the LWO dudes.
Yeah, no, they're surely not getting a Rumble spot.
You're not getting them in. You're not getting one of Pretty Deadly.
I feel like at least half of the Rumble roster this year, you could look at them and with the right story build, you could see any one of them as a potential winner. And that's really amazing to see because it makes the landscape of the Royal Rumble in predicting the winner so much harder.
Yeah. It probably takes away a little bit from the rest of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view card. Mm-hmm. We're going to get Cody and Kevin. Nothing else has been announced.
No. Nothing.
Maybe we get a Rhea someone match. Maybe we get a Tiffany someone match. Maybe we get an IC title with Braun. No, Braun's versing Sheamus at Saturday Night's main event. So maybe it takes away the rest of the card, but I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to worry about it because I think the men's Rumble, if you start with that, you're going to have a brilliant hour-long Royal Rumble of superstars.
You can do that with the women as well.
And the women, I think, is the one that you want to finish with maybe because there's way more surprises to that.
Yeah, and I feel like especially with the rumoured returns of Becky and Charlotte before or in the Rumble, I think they're going to be real key.
I guess it depends.
In that Rumble.
It depends too if we go back to what we booked several months ago that The Rock was going to make himself number 31 in the Royal Rumble. That has to finish the show.
And if he does that, it has to finish. Speaking of Saturday night's main event, we have had 3 confirmed matches for next week's event.
SmackDown was big for this one, but yeah,
absolutely.
What have we got?
We've got Sheamus versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title after Sheamus successfully defeated Ludwig Kaiser on Raw this week.
Do you think Sheamus needs to win this to get the Grand Slam?
Yes.
So does John Cena.
Yes.
I don't think you want both of them doing it in a short span because it's probably too convenient.
Yeah.
Does this mean you strap Sheamus up now, tick that box, let him have it for a little while, Braun can beat him back at WrestleMania, and then Cena can get it midway through the year when it's not like Sheamus just became Grand Slam. Now John Cena's just become Grand Slam.
I don't think Sheamus gets it here.
Why not?
I don't think the vibe's right. Braun Breaker hasn't been on TV in a match for a few weeks now, and
is Braun Breaker injured?
I don't know.
Fightful Select exclusive.
I just think they've not been presenting him
down under
as
the mat
they
exclusive. Braun Breaker is actually injured. Nobody knows about it.
Braun Breaker.
It's not. I'm lying.
He's washed. He's washed.
I think Braun is so good and so strong right now. He could lose, and it doesn't matter. He just gets it back literally
Rumble's
the next
right
week.
around the corner. Have a strong throwing in that.
Spear somebody, and straight away he's back on top. So I think that he can cop a loss, and he's fine with it. It's the same when he lost to Sammy. When we all were like, we should win the title here, and he didn't, and we were like, well, that's dumb.
But then he absolutely dominated Sammy at SummerSlam.
And we were all like, yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah.
I think this could be the same. He could drop it to
right.
Sheamus. Sheamus gets his Grand Slam. Sheamus can then hold it for a couple of months. Braun can win it back at Mania.
Yeah.
And then you can have Braun and Cena SummerSlam.
I like that. You heard it here first on Down on the Mat. Braun Break versus John Cena SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title.
Okay. That frees up. Oh, I've got to change my edits for the Royal Rumble. I forgot about something.
We've also had Jey Uso versus Gunther.
I don't care.
No. Wouldn't it just be a shit if they just let Jey win?
No.
Wouldn't it be something? I feel like...
No.
I don't know. Gunther's just not, like, hitting the way that he used to.
Gunther needs to destroy Jey Uso.
Obliterate him.
Like,
don't even have any near falls for Jey.
Chop like, I love Jey and I love the entrance, right? And it's called Saturday Night's main event, and he's main event Jey Uso, and he's on the poster.
He's got to be
I get it, right? But this is the point where you go, all right, everyone's behind Jey, and Gunther, as finally back to the proper heel that he should be, chops the crap out of him. Chops him down, power bombs him, drop kicks him, chops him, power bomb, Boston crab, tap out. Shut up, Jey. Never wrestle me again. Oh, I think this has to be a dominant Gunther win. Yeah. It really does.
I hope so, because the way that they've been presenting him lately, it just hasn't felt like the Gunther of Intercontinental Championship level. And
exactly what we just said about Braun. Jey's fine.
Yeah.
Jey comes back out on Monday, yeets to everybody, and we're all good.
He can be in the Rumble, he can be in the Final Five, whatever. Last match that just got confirmed today for Saturday night's main event.
Hang on. Just wanted to slap some man meat for this one.
Oh. Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. That stare down in the ring.
In SmackDown.
Oh, amazing. I cannot wait for this match. It's just going to be absolute, utter mayhem.
And again, Jacob Fatu has to destroy Braun Strowman.
I would absolutely...
I mean, maybe to the point where we had with the Strowman and Bronson Reed style thing where they both just destroy everything.
Obliterate each other.
But you put Fatu over here. Yeah. He wins this.
Jacob Fatu goes on top. And touching on him, I want to discuss his development over the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
His promo on the way to the ring for the tag team match last week. We didn't get to touch on it much last week because, I don't know, I guess we just forgot. I love you Solo. We're so used to that. We didn't get that last week. But we got a hell of a promo. He looked like an absolute monster in the ring, and whenever he ran out to interrupt matches, and then doing the same this week, the way that he's being presented at the moment, it looks like they're strapping the rocket to Jacob Fatu.
I think I'd like to see the complexity with this bloodline story, that now that Solo is no longer the tribal chief, he no longer has the Alufalafa, every time it gets him.
The falafel.
But now that he doesn't have it anymore, what does Jacob have to acknowledge Solo for?
That's why he hasn't done it the past couple of weeks.
Correct. And it's also, I think, why on SmackDown, when Solo came out to talk or cut a promo and the crowd was still booing him,
Jacob got on the mic.
Jacob got on the mic. But I think this is also the story for Solo now, is that Solo was like, well, I was doing this for my family. I was doing it because I needed to be tribal chief. I needed the Ufalafa. I needed to control for my family. Now Roman's got it. My family's gone. I don't need it anymore. And you don't need me. And he can go off.
And he specifically said to Tama, Tongaloa, and Jacob, when I don't have this, you don't acknowledge me. Yep. You have to acknowledge Roman. So we're now starting to see that new bloodline disintegrate.
And then do you think maybe...
Solo got no words in. He dropped the mic and he walked out. And you could see on Jacob Fatu's face, he's just like, this guy.
Do you think the story from here is that Solo then goes and says, we now need to go back to Roman. We need to acknowledge him as our tribal chief. And Jacob's like, no, I don't. I don't want to. I'm better than him. I don't need to.
That was my thought watching Jacob on SmackDown this week, was they're now going to get rid of Solo, and then it's just going to be Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Jacob. and they're just going to run rough shot over the entire division.
Well, because they would Heyman and that have all said it. You should not have brought them in. They can't be controlled. They're crazy. Why did you do it, Solo? And now I think this is the point where Solo starts to regret it.
Just those sorts of things that you remember. Just the storytelling, the layers of this. We've got a long way to go.
And
this is not over.
Let's touch on part of that story. And one of the things that we watched during the week was Paul Heyman on The Impulsive, the Logan Paul podcast. If you haven't watched it,
so good.
100% go and watch it. Logan Paul, as conflicting as he can be for some, his podcasts are quite interesting because a lot of the time him and I can't remember the name of the dude that he does it with, they just kind of let they just let people go and they sort of just like ask really open-ended questions to try and get the person's opinions on things. I mean, in this, Paul Heyman goes all through, World War II and genocide and a whole bunch of stuff that his family dealt with and things that, he doesn't normally talk about, which is a fascinating insight into Heyman. But then he goes and talks about, one of the questions was asked was how would he book Logan Paul for the next year or next 18 months? And Paul Heyman said, I wouldn't. Like, if I'm booking you 3 years in advance. And what are you doing at WrestleMania 41, 42, and 43? Because if I'm not giving you the justification of what we're doing at the end of this story at 43, then I'm booking you too short and it's just not worth our time. And when you think of that mentality that Heyman has on the way that he books things...
No wonder this bloodline story's gone on so long.
But also, like, Heyman would have thought of this.
Yeah.
Heyman would have thought, okay, so we do this, we get the story, then we break up, then we get the Ufalafa, then Solo goes away, then Jacob comes back. Then, like, all of this is part of the plan. And I think that the little seeds that Heyman puts in through his character and the way that he says on this podcast, man, if you remember that week when Solo tried to make him acknowledge him, and he came out and his eyes were bloodshot and he was not shaven and his hair was going great. Heyman said he slept for an hour the night beforehand. Yep. He wouldn't eat food. He'd eat fatty foods and stuff only. He wouldn't dye his hair. He would not take any of his medications and stuff. He was deliberately making himself look terrible for that exact reason. And he'd said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just take a punch. I'm not going to take a solo spike because how many people are taking the spike? No. Put me through a table. The dedication to the bit from Paul Heyman is why he is the GOAT. And I think that...
He's not one of, he is.
He is the GOAT, for sure.
Crystal clear.
Go and watch his interview because some of the insights he gives you into how his mind works gives you such a great appreciation for how the characters are made, how Roman Reigns became the tribal chief, how they booked all that together. And I think that every little thing that he's touched with Solo, with Jacob, with Roman, etc., just keeps getting better.
Yeah. Touching on one of the other momentous things happening on Monday Night Raw this week, we have your inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion.
Don't want to say I called this 6 weeks ago.
But you did. As soon as the bracket got released, you said this tournament has Lyra written all over it. And I was disappointed by the result because I wanted Dakota to win so badly.
Thank you. I was correct. Champion. Predictions champion. Thank you very much.
Fantastic for Lyra. She absolutely deserves it. She's put in a hell of an amount of effort over the last few years, since coming to NXT in the US after being on NXT UK, being shadowed by Becky Lynch, being involved in a feud with her, taking the title from her. WWE clearly see big things in Lyra, and this is only just the start.
I think this is good. We predicted that she was going to be the one to win it, and it's a good feud for her going forward, I think, because I think from what we're sort of rumours swirling around online, you watch SmackDown, there was a vignette for Charlotte to return.
Very interesting vignette.
Which we've predicted previously that Charlotte and Tiffy is a great WrestleMania match, and I think that might happen. There has been some feuding this week with Bayley showing up at Raw, then at NXT, and then at SmackDown with Roxanne Perez.
She's been everywhere, man.
So maybe there's a Bayley and Roxanne feud.
I'd like to see that.
And then I'd like to see Becky do the same thing, maybe with Lyra, go down for the IC title instead of going with Rhea. And that way you essentially have, the 4 horsewomen, or the 3 remaining horsewomen in Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley, putting over the next generation of horsewomen in Roxanne, Lyra, and Tiffany.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And I feel like it's not going to really demote Becky too much. I know it's kind of weird thinking, oh, you're just saying Charlotte should face Tiffy because that's the main title or anything. But it's that sort of moment to pass the torch to that next generation. Becky and Charlotte are both maybe at the tail end of their careers, like they've had a mass.
They're only
I don't want to use
mid-30s.
I don't want to use tail end, but like they've had a lot of success in previous years.
Yeah.
This little hurdle, losing at WrestleMania to Lyra and Tiffy, is not going to hurt their credentials too much.
No, and as if you watch Santi Sap's videos, I think one of the things that he says is death, taxes, and Charlotte Flair winning a title when she returns from injury. 3 guarantees in this world. I think that's probably going to happen. Whether or not Charlotte wins at WrestleMania or if she loses the first one and then wins at a Backlash, sure, that's fine. But I think this is that era where, you start to put over the newer stars. In terms of the IC title, I think the match is great. I think Dakota's going to get her shot.
Yeah.
She was really, really good in this match. She came very close.
Yeah.
And the crowd are now behind her, even as a solos person. So, when you throw in Io Sky, who we all love, and if you can get Kyrie back fit, give him a run at the tag titles again, let Damage Control go as face, and let Dakota win a title eventually, because I think she's definitely got it in her.
Yeah, absolutely she does. Let's touch on a couple of interesting news points throughout the week. Mm-hmm. I might hand this one over to you because Backlash has been confirmed to be in Mexico.
Shut up, Bad Bunny. I think that this sort of came out. I can't remember who he was having an interview with. It wasn't like Sports Illustrated or something, but Bad Bunny was having a talk about it, saying how much he loves wrestling and that feeling of getting back in the ring. And he's saying that he'd love to do it. He can't wait to get back in there again, especially
Wants to put the fear in his mother that he's going to die.
Yeah, especially when they do the pay-per-view in Mexico. He'd love to be at that one. And I think WWE were like, whoa.
Hey,
Ooh.
spoilers, perhaps.
We haven't actually booked that one just yet.
Yeah.
But then Triple H also did come out and say, I love your new music, your new song. It'd be great to see you walk out with that. Let's chat. So I'm not going to be shocked if there's a Bad Bunny appearance at the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to be shocked if there's a Bad Bunny match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
How that fits, I don't know, but I think that they're going to start pumping him again, because we saw with the Netflix debut, right? You saw Travis Scott walk out Jey Uso.
Yeah.
A lot of noise for that was because he was smoking some sage,
Yes,
as they said.
correct.
But mainstream celebrity is what Netflix will want. And Bad Bunny is the biggest Latin pop star in the world.
Yeah.
By miles. So getting him back involved in WWE.
More eyes on the product.
And the match that he had with Damian Priest was great.
He was great, and he was also great in the WrestleMania prior when he teamed with Damian Priest.
Yeah. So I think he will come back for whatever this run is when they start to do a South American show.
Yeah.
But it's not Backlash Mexico. I think he might have slipped a little bit. And that possibly means that then there's probably a pay-per-view at some point this year in Mexico.
I think it's well deserved.
Getting Penta in as well probably helps too.
Yep, that's going to make it even more sweet for the Mexicans down there. Let's talk Corey Graves right now.
Oh, yes.
Isn't it just a shitstorm of news with Corey Graves at the moment? Appearing on NXT last week with commentary, afterwards releasing a statement on X about not being good enough at his job, not being famous enough for his job. So he lost it and he got demoted to NXT. I've actually got the quote.
Yep.
I'll read it.
Read it. Because I also think this is hilarious that Pat McAfee's not on Raw this week because he's on College Game Day. So they would have needed a voice for Raw to be with Michael Cole, but it's not going to be Corey Graves.
Not after which this statement has now been deleted from his ex
Of course
after
it
the
has.
Backlash, and he was removed from NXT this week too. Imagine chasing your dream, then being told (brackets not deciding) that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. And then, when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job. Just in case you've wondered where I've been.
The salty tweet.
Oh, very, very salty.
Doesn't get you anywhere, Corey.
No.
Look,
Clearly you got him removed from NXT this week.
I feel bad for him because obviously when he was wrestling on NXT and he copped the concussions and he couldn't wrestle anymore, that sucks, right? That was his career. That's what he wanted to do.
It was so early in his career as well.
He has been a very good commentator. Yes. I really enjoy Corey. I think he's very good at what he does. Do I think that if you were to stack me up against Pat McAfee and Michael Cole and Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett and Booker and Vince Joseph, I don't think Corey beats any of the three out, apart from Booker and Vince Joseph, but I think they're so set with what NXT is,
Yeah.
they wouldn't change that.
Yeah.
I think Wade and Joe are
They're
great.
a fantastic team.
I think Pat and Cole. I know Pat McAfee gets on a lot of people's nerves, but he does. He brings so much energy to that,
And he brings it out of Michael Cole too.
absolutely. And you can tell Michael Cole loves working with him.
Yeah.
And you get that main. I know Corey's point is I'm not famous enough, but you're not.
And JR actually came out on his podcast. Good old JR.
Yep.
And essentially said, you compare Corey Graves and you compare Pat McAfee. Would you really take Corey Graves over Pat McAfee? With the platform that Pat has.
No,
and the ability to bring
absolutely
new eyes into the product.
And that's the thing that the point that he says, he's not famous enough. He's not. Pat's on ESPN. Pat does College Game Day. Pat has a podcast that has millions of people watching it. Like he has a bigger reach than what Corey Graves does. Corey Graves is very, very good at his job. But that's to existing WWE fans that know of Corey Graves and his work on the shows. If you're a casual person, which is sadly what Netflix is aiming to get casual people in, they're going to hear Corey Graves and be like, oh yeah, cool, commentator. They're going to hear Pat McAfee like, isn't that dude from football? Isn't that guy on ESPN?
Exactly.
It's the same with Joe Tessitore. When Joe first came, people were like, oh, I don't know. He's the voice of boxing. He's done this, he's done that. Again, the casual people hear a voice that they hear before. They're like, oh, I've heard this guy on football games.
He assimilated very well.
Absolutely, he's great. So, look, I feel bad for Corey.
It's unfortunate.
I feel that him putting that tweet out was possibly trying to get himself in trouble and suspended or fired, which is what's happened, we think. We know.
I've seen some theories people have been putting out.
Okay.
This leads to Corey Graves versus Pat McAfee at WrestleMania.
I mean,
I don't think WrestleMania.
We need to assume that Corey is medically cleared and able to wrestle.
Yes, which I've heard people say that he has been cleared.
I've also heard a lot of people say that this isn't a worky McWork face, that this is real.
Yeah.
So
Turn real life into a work.
But that's what WWE will do. If they can make a story out of it, they will. And Triple H is smart enough to book that. But I don't think that's how this started. I think Corey legitimately got the shits that he was dropped. Maybe had a couple too many whiskeys one night. Put out a tweet that was very personal and emotional, and has now dealing with the ramifications of it.
Yes.
And then we'll see what comes of it. I think that he's too talented to not be available for WWE, because if they let him go, AEW should snap him up straight away.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see that because he has no history with them, and it's kind of like, why would he be doing that?
Personally, I'm not overly fond of the AEW commentary team, so that would improve the product for my benefit, but I don't know how everyone else will take that.
Well, yeah, agree. I'd love to see him take over NXT properly, because we've said this as well with Pat, right? Once college football comes back in 9 months' time, he's going to have to go back to ESPN. So someone's got to fill back into that Raw spot. And as long as, it looks like Corey can't swallow his pride for, 6 months or whatever. If he did, he could be the backup. And if you talk about it from an American standpoint, backup quarterbacks get paid a lot of money to sit on the bench and make sure everything goes fine. But when the quarterback goes down injured or someone gets hurt,
I get called.
In you go.
Yep, straight away.
It's a very important role.
One last thing we'll touch up in the WWE space, then we'll shift over to AEW. WWE has partnered for 3 years
It's a big deal.
with TNA, an official partnership.
Now, is this, from what I read, because I didn't read all of it, it was WWE, NXT,
Yeah.
and some
I read the
premium
statement
live
earlier.
events.
Yeah. So it's mainly mentioning benefiting the TNA talent, getting more exposure, and then the NXT talent gaining more exposure.
Yeah.
There is mention of WWE premium live events. I assume occasionally, we'll talk about it more in our predictions, but a couple people might come over for the Rumble, make an appearance, just say his name and he might appear.
Oh, he'll appear. He'll appear.
So I say if Triple H wants it, he might go, I want them. I want to have them for a thing. But I think this is mainly going to be TNA, NXT.
Yeah.
And I think it's real evident the fact that TNA has rebranded their pay-per-view this weekend.
Genesis.
And they've put the NXT logo
Genesis?
on it. Genesis, yeah. Stutter. They've put the NXT logo on it. So it's now looking like it's a conjoined premium live event.
And if you listen to some more podcasts throughout the week, Chris Van Vliet, again, #1 wrestling podcast in the world, he had both Jeff and Matt Hardy on his show this week. I've listened to the Jeff episode. I've seen clips of the Matt one. But essentially, Matt Hardy says that, look, this is a fantastic thing for both TNA and WWE. It's great to get across. Does he think that him and Jeff have one last run in WWE? He hopes so. He wants to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I think regardless of where they are, whether they've worked for AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, wherever, Hardys will be WWE Hall of Fame at some point.
He also said that him and Jeff have already filmed something for WWE, which was a couple of days after the Dudleys have filmed something for WWE.
Well, I guess we're going to have one tag team absent from a certain story, perhaps.
Who knows? But then he said that he would really hope that within 2025, the Hardy Boys have one more match in WWE, and he hopes that it's as the TNA Tag Team Champions.
Would love to see it. Another key part of the statement is they mentioned weekly programming.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like this is just going to be, it's not going to be a period of like 3 months, as we've had in the past, where a couple of TNA and NXT talents will exchange. It looks like both are essentially going to be working together on a weekly basis with weekly appearances in both companies.
Because NXT is in
Florida.
Where's TNA taped? Because
they go on the road. So it's going to be
because I thought they used to be taped in
happens.
Orlando.
They did, yes, but they've been going on the road a lot more. I don't know whether it's just their weekly stuff is taped at one location and then they do their pay-per-views elsewhere.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not too privy on their booking, so
we could do some research, maybe find out. But I think that would be a key point. You know, you're not just going to get the Rascals popping up for a couple of matches with Wesley and
it's gonna
Jordan
be
Grace and stuff. It's going to be a program where you'll have maybe multiple, like an NXT PLE, and then the next month's TNA PLE.
Just give me NXT TNA Worlds Collide in vein of like the Raw vs SmackDown Survivor Series. Champions versus champions, and then you get a few blood feuds.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Just do it!
I mean, how are they going to do that when all of the TNA talent is moving to WWE? So you're like your Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander and stuff all on the wrong side of the fence.
Why not?
Just loan them back out to TNA for once.
I reckon Jordan's gone main roster. I think she just bypasses NXT on her way through, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Unless they want to do like a Zarya thing with her and big meaty women's. Like
they did leave that very open-ended. So with this deal happening, we could see that come to the forefront again.
Who knows?
Because Zarya speared Jordan and then nothing happened. Nothing's happened since. They just went their separate ways.
Nothing's happened yet.
Anything else on the WWE front that I forgot to note down?
I don't know. Was there? I got to check my notes.
Yeah, check your notes. Otherwise, we're going to be jumping to AEW and talking about the Australian show that's happening in 1 month's time.
No, the rest of the stuff I've got to AEW. So let's start shitting on that company. I mean, let's talk about AEW.
Look, no, we're going to shit on it a little bit because...
a lot of it.
Let's talk about AEW Grand Slam Brisbane to start with. We are less than 1 month away. Mm-hmm. We've had 1 match announced, sorry. The Women's Championship. This week, Toni Storm won the Casino Gauntlet for the women. She is now your new number one contender, and she will be facing Mariah May at AEW Grand Slam Brisbane. Now, you've seen AEW Dynamite this week, so I'll let you talk about the disgusting promo from Mariah May.
Well, it wasn't a promo. Mariah May was on commentary.
And so it was commentary.
The entire time she was just crapping on Australia. Who would want to fly out 24 hours for that? I don't even want to do it. Maybe Harley Cameron can win so she can go to Australia and have a match. That'd be nice for her. I don't care about it. She buried... I mean, I get that she's the heel champion. She's trying to bury Toni Storm and all that sort of stuff. But, like, she buried Australia.
She buried us. Like...
For those Americans that are following this, like, obviously, we haven't had an AEW show in this country before, right? No. And when it was first announced 6 months plus ago, going into Suncorp Stadium, which is probably one of the biggest stadiums we have on the East Coast, which is where the most population of Australia is.
Yes.
We were looking at a 50,000 people stadium event. This is going to be our version of All In. It's going to be huge. They couldn't sell tickets, so they've downsized to the entertainment centre, which is 45 minutes into the suburbs up the road.
Yep.
It's now 12,000 seats. It's going to be a house show. But they haven't changed the cost.
Special TV event, apparently.
They haven't changed the cost for us locally. It's still expensive. So the tickets we purchased for Suncorp Stadium for a 50,000 seat stadium event is the same cost for an entertainment centre show.
Which
they're also pre-recording it for the US because it's, for our time, it's like 6 p.m. On a Saturday night, which would be like 3 a.m. US.
Just think of WWE Elimination.
Elimination Chamber. Same kind of thing. So they're not airing it live, even though they have a streaming deal on Max where they could just air it live. They're not. They're going to delay broadcast it on the Saturday night on TNT, is what they've said. But then if you actually look at the TNT schedule, I saw this on a tweet somewhere, the NBA is listed for 2 different games on TNT.
Yeah, because they're doing their like
it's the All-Star Weekend.
The All-Star Weekend, yeah.
So it's the All-Star Weekend on TNT. So that's going to take precedence over a pre-taped AEW show. So it's not even going to get streamed on TNT. It's not live on Max. So all the Australian audience that don't go to the show don't get to see it either.
It's pretty piss poor.
It's really starting to look like we're getting a B-grade show / house show, a Collision.
We're getting Collision Australia.
Which sucks.
Because that means and we're coming to the point where we're kind of accepting the fact we probably won't have Kenny Omega. We won't have the Young Bucks. We won't have Mercedes Moné. Not that we want to see her anyway. We just want to boo her.
It'd be fun to do that.
Like all these huge pillars of AEW, and we're probably not going to get. We probably won't get MJF. We might get Will Ospreay.
We won't get MJF because he'll be feuding with Jeff Jarrett for Revolution. We probably won't get FTR with Cope.
Probably won't get Cope.
We won't get Moxley and the Death Riders.
What's the fucking point then? I don't even know if we're going to get the Hurt Syndicate either.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be sick for Bobby because literally less than 12 months ago, he was here on the other side of Australia with another company.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be cool. Yeah. Last year.
Was Lashley in the chamber?
Yes.
Oh, I totally forgot about him being in the chamber. LA Knight was in the chamber and AJ Styles came out and smacked him with a chair.
That's all you remember.
That's all I can remember. Yeah, look, I'm worried with the booking of AEW at the moment.
The fact that they have been advertising Revolution, which is in 2 months' time, over this, like at the entranceway of Dynamite and Collision and shit every week, they've got AEW Revolution, March 12th.
Yep.
You have a massive Australian event in another country from AEW's native filming grounds.
Yep. But it's not a premium live event anymore. It's not a pay-per-view.
It's just still advertise it.
Yeah.
Try and get people interested in it so they will.
I love Toni Storm winning. Toni Storm getting...
If she doesn't win...
She won't.
Biggest crop of shit.
She's not going to beat Mariah May. No way. Not the rookie. Like, if you watched this Casino
Gauntlet... That's
Gauntlet,
the part that I'm annoyed about. Like, I get... It was interesting to start with to see where this would go, but the fact that she's just pretending to be a rookie now, it's kind of bugging me and it's dumb. Well, because it means that she's not going to win.
She cut the promo. She's like, "Oh, Mariah May is a fantastic champion. I'll be so excited to finally be in the ring with her and see if I can stick to her standards."
Unless they build some sort of story there and her demeanor changes between now and AEW Grand Slam Brisbane.
Yeah.
Looks like she's going to lose.
The other thing
Why give her a title shot, fly her out to her home country, in her home state, to have her job out?
Fuck, it's going to happen.
Bugging the crap out of me.
And the other main point that a lot of people were annoyed with this Casino Gauntlet was that the week before on Dynamite, you had the men's gauntlet. Nearly 28 minutes, 30 minutes for that. 11 guys in there, a whole bunch of stuff happening. Powerhouse Hobbs gets the win, which was fine. A lot of people thought that was a great match.
Yeah.
The women's match, you had 7 people come in.
For 18, 16 minutes?
It was 15 and something. 15. It was 2 segments and half of the match happened in an ad break. And the ending of the match was Julia Hart misting Harley Cameron. And then her botching a move with, I can't remember, Megan Bain. And then them falling down and Tony rolling up Julia Hart with a schoolboy roll up. 1, 2, 3. And look, I get this character. She's a rookie. She's learning. She's doing snapmares and suplexes and simple things because she's just learning how to wrestle. I don't like it.
No. And
the booking of it was bad, and the whole idea of what Grand Slam is going to be now. Because
look, we're still traveling interstate for it. It's going to be a fun weekend away. Let's just make the most of it. We're attending the Australian Super Show on the Friday, which we're very much looking forward to now that we've changed shows that we're going to.
Thanks, Robbie Eagles.
Robbie Eagles, Lena Cross, Caveman Ugg.
Yep. Matt Hayter.
I love it. Matt Hayter. Why didn't we choose that in the first place?
Yeah, Reece, why didn't we choose that in the first place?
Because Harley Cameron's partner was coming to the other show and we wanted to get an interview, but
that's
we got ignored.
to touch on the rest of the stuff from Dynamite, I mean, there's a few things coming from Brian Cage, who I'm a big fan of since we met him last year at World Series of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Finally got his match against Kenny Omega.
Been wanting it for years.
That was a really fun match. Obviously, the Don Callis family and all the shenanigans that they involved was around it, but it's so good seeing Kenny Omega on TV again.
Yeah.
He is just a class above everybody else. And I think it was it Conan or somebody
On his
podcast said that, look, you've got nothing more to prove in AEW, Kenny. Like, you've done your 5-star matches, you've been an EVP, you've started the company, there's nothing more you can do. Go to WWE, get treated like a superstar, have 3 or 4 matches a year, and just be the big fish in the big pond like you should be. And I can't disagree with it.
I can't.
I love Kenny, and I know AEW do.
Yeah.
He's so good for them. But there's now a point where it's like, we're going to get Kenny and Ospreay. We're going to get Kenny and Okada. We're going to get Kenny and Takeshita. And they're all going to be 5-star matches. They're going to be brilliant.
But what after that?
But also, what of it?
Also a good point.
Like, you're going to...
We've seen all those matches already, haven't we?
But we're going to get the match because we want the match.
Yeah.
There's no story to tell.
They'll just do the match, they'll get 5 stars, and then they'll move on.
It's where the best wrestle.
We're the best wrestle.
Let me have a drink quickly before I shit on an AW small.
Okay.
Another really controversial part that's come out of this week's Dynamite, and you haven't seen it yet, was there was a promo segment between MJF and Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, I've seen the comment.
Which comment?
The tasting what generational.
Oh no, that's not it. That's not it.
Oh, there's something else.
Oh, that's way worse than that. So that comment was.
Why was that the only clip that got spread around social media?
There's way more. So essentially, MJF, got really angry that Jeff Jarrett's going for a world title shot. Like, go away. The line that got to a lot of people was that MJF said, "Jeff Jarrett's face is the last face you see before your wrestling company dies." Great line, but he's burying AEW with it, being like, "Yeah,
wow,
right." So that fantastic line, but probably not needed in this promo.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Not saying he is.
Global Force Wrestling ring a bell to anyone? Man, I was so keen for that company, and it went down the toilet so quick.
The line that he talks about to Jarrett was that he wants him to get out of the company and leave, but leave, your pretty little Karen behind, because I'll take her out the back, and then you can see what a generational superstar and an Olympic gold medal's balls taste like. Again, great line, probably not needed. And then Jarrett comes back and says, "Max, I was you before you were you. Everything you're doing now, I've done beforehand. And look, we've all everyone in the fans. Now remember, Jarrett's meant to be the favourite. He's the fan favourite in this. He's the face. He's not the heel. Goes and says we all need to sort of be sad for Max and sort of understand what a tough life he's had being brought up by a call girl, essentially calling his mum a stripper, and then saying that when his dad, who was a ambulance chasing solicitor, met up with the call girl woman. When Max was born, she still made his dad pay for it. And then essentially said that when Max and Ospreay were having their 60-minute match on Dynamite, going 60 minutes the whole way, Max's call girl missus was in the back going 60 minutes with everybody else in the locker room. It's not the 80s, Jeff Jarrett.
Jesus Christ.
What kind of a promo was this? And the fact that this was like 13 or 14 minutes in the middle of this Dynamite episode, that then meant that the casino gauntlet for the women was cut short because these two idiots spoke about having sex with hookers. It has not gone down well.
It's like they're trying to be the Attitude Era.
But why?
But they're just failing at it.
The point that MJF made that he needs his title back because he's sick of people knocking the pedestal out from underneath him, and he needs to shove it back in everybody's face that he is the best. Yeah. And how can he do that? With the world title. Yeah. Great. Jarrett needs to say, I want that world title because I want one last run as a champion. I want to dedicate this to Owen Hart. MJF could say Owen Hart was a schmuck. They can fight. We're done. That's all you needed to do. And it just didn't quite work.
Anything else? Do you want to...
Do I want to crap on?
I know we've got a couple of other somewhat positive things to talk about.
What are the notes that I mean, the main event with Moxley and Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs looked like a beast.
Was he eating his ear?
He was eating his ear. If you see photos...
Okay, Mike Tyson.
I'll see if I can get some photos towards the end of the match for editor Luke.
I saw a picture and Moxley's left side of his face was just red and I was like, what?
The match...
It wasn't the face, so I was like, oh, he didn't blade, obviously. What the hell happened?
He bit his ear.
Jesus
Christ.
He
Mike Tyson'd it. And like by the end of the match, the mat was covered in blood, all from his ear.
That man has children.
It was crazy.
Child. Does he have two yet? Moxley? I think he's just got one, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he has child.
With Renee, he has child. No, I don't want to say anything else from the shows. I'll just leave that as it is. The one last thing I'll mention is that for some reason they're giving Christopher Daniels one last match against Hangman Page on Collision.
Oh, they've got a lot of Ring of Honor history I've seen. They've been putting clips out over social media throughout the week. Just
match.
I saw there was a Texas death match. And Christopher Daniels in that match, really? Dude can't even do the moonsault off the springboard moonsault, which is one of his like key moves. He can't even do that shit properly anymore.
Go back and watch like the Daniels, Joe, AJ Styles stuff in the TNA 2007 to 2009 period. He was amazing. He's not that Christopher Daniels anymore.
He's not. He's not that guy anymore. Brody King has filed for an interesting trademark.
Yes.
The Hounds of Hell.
Yep, because he can't call himself the House of Black anymore because it's technically Malachi Black's name.
Yes, so it looks like they might be getting a rebranding, possibly staying together for a while. Maybe it's just going to be Hounds of Hell is him and Buddy. Who knows?
I'm fine with that. On Dynamite, there was a terrible match between Private Party and Mark Briscoe against the Hurt Syndicate. And for some reason, the 51-year-old MVP decided to wrestle in this match. To make it a trios.
What was that thing you said earlier? All elderly wrestling?
Yeah. Well, Jarrett's like 56, Jericho's 54, Christian and Edge are both over 50, MVP's over 50.
Shelton's
49, Lashley's 48.
All elderly. I thought that was brilliant.
All elderly wrestling. Look, the match was fine, but like the sooner they get the titles off Private Party, because like we've said, no one cares.
Give it to the Hounds of Hell.
Well, give it to this Hurt Syndicate and let them run through everybody until you get to the Hounds of Hell.
Okay.
Good, and then you can get Brody and Buddy win the titles. Yeah. That'd be fine.
Speaking of Malachi Black, we've had some further developments to his situation throughout the week.
Yes.
I've heard several reports from AEW talent, not directly. Let me just say that. I've read reports about people getting information from AEW talent that over the past couple of years for Malachi Black, he's been somewhat wanting to distance himself from wrestling and even contemplated retirement.
Uh-huh.
And then conversely, reading reports that WWE has already started booking stories for him and they see him as a potential top singles talent when he comes back.
Yep.
There's two sides of the coin.
Well, I've also heard a side of the coin that says he didn't want to lose on TV.
There's a third side
and
of the coin.
He did lose on TV, it was only to be...
Is this a pyramid that's got like
it's a
four faces?
A rhombus.
A rhombus, right.
He didn't want to lose to non-WWE, ex-WWE wrestlers. That's why he wouldn't put the AEW people over. Oh. There was a rumor, I think unsubstantiated.
Yeah, that sounds like a load of crap, to be honest.
But yeah, he didn't want to lose, so he wouldn't go out on his back, which is the general way a lot of the wrestling business is. If you're leaving or you're retiring. Last appearance?
I don't even know. The last time I think of him was right. Yeah, okay. I was going to say Copeland.
No, it was when they had the Cole and Roddy Strong.
Yeah.
Who wins to face MJF at World's End? He faced Adam Cole.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he faced Buddy first, then the lights went out, and then Malachi was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, look, I think he'll come back to WWE. I think they'll book him properly again because Triple H loved him. He was one of his guys in NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see that entrance again. Oh, the absolute aura of that entrance, the music.
No man is ever truly good.
No man is ever truly
evil. That was a sick entrance. I would love to see, if you bring him back, a tag team or a thing set up with him and Rhea Ripley.
Mm. What do you call them?
You don't have to.
The Terror Triplets.
Oh, if you keep Damien there. I just think that you go for the you go for the gothic looking people covered in tattoos and you throw them.
Judgment Day 2.0.
No, let's not put them in a faction. Let's just have them be friends and maybe tag team when they need to.
Okay. I'd be down for that. I think that'd be really cool.
Or let him tag with his wife, Zelina Vega. And they can face Andrade and Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
No? Are you trying to do Nikki and John versus Miz and Maurice again?
And then you can have Seth and Becky.
Oh, God.
And then eventually Buddy can come back and you have Buddy and Rhea in there as well. Wrestling business is pretty incestual.
First confirmed match for WrestleMania 42.
Ooh.
Boom. Done. You heard it here first on Down Under the Mat.
Zelina Vega and
Aleister
Black against Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews. Buddy Murphy.
Oh, I was thinking Fatal 4-Way. You put Miz and Maurice in there, and you put Andrade and Charlotte in there.
Liv and Dom.
No. We're gonna have real life ones.
Okay.
Real life ones.
Is there other ones? Oh, Karrion and Scarlett.
Yeah. There we go.
There's plenty.
There is. But there is not plenty more to talk about because that's all my notes. So
is it?
Have you got anything else that I've missed?
I can't remember if I do or not. Reece?
It's been a hell of a week this week. On the news front, in the ring front. It's been great.
Look, the only other two things that I had was the Action Bronson interview where he said that we're
shitting on AEW, so we might as well talk about that right now.
Well, his interview with Ariel Helwani where he said that the vibes backstage at AEW was just weird.
Yeah,
it's very clicky and
we
weird.
do have like an inside perspective from that, from someone that we know that has been backstage as well, and I think Action Bronson's comments line up with what we've heard as well.
Yeah, that it is very clicky and strange. But I mean, also Action Bronson's, when he was on the pay-per-view, it was
such a short stint there.
Yeah, but it was also the 2 months after Brawl Out.
Yeah, that would have been a really bad time.
So I can see why that would be very awkward.
Yeah.
But in general, like, you're not hearing good things backstage at AEW. People are wanting to leave. People aren't liking what they're doing with Rey Fenix, with making him stay when Penta's released and going to make a big name for himself. You've got obviously Malachi wanting to go. The way that they've booked certain things, it's just... It seems like Tony Khan, which we've said for a while, likes to play with his toys.
He needs to reduce how much he's involved across the whole board.
A little bit. If you look at all the old wrestlers we just named before, like they're all people that someone like Tony Khan or us would have loved 20 years ago when we were kids. Stop booking them.
Yeah. Book your young talent.
Yeah. Because there was no. I mean, Daniel Garcia had a promo video package this week. Kyle Fletcher came out to beat up Omega and stuff like it was. Yeah, look, I love
that. Got my hopes up for AEW Grand Slam because I was like, oh, Ospreay and Kenny Omega against Kyle Fletcher
against the
Callis family.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
Right,
yeah.
Right. How good would that be?
Brian Cage.
But you know what? They'll probably do it 2 weeks beforehand.
Brian Cage. Even if you do a 2, I reckon do a 2-on-3. You could have Brian Cage, Lance Archer, and Kyle Fletcher, and Takeshita 4
2-on-4
against Ospreay, Omega, and partners of their choosing,
which turns out to be the Young Bucks.
See, then I'd be fine to go to Grand Slam.
Yeah,
that'd be a great match.
That's everything that we want.
It won't happen.
No. On that note, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Sure, let's wrap it up.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah,
Been a pleasure talking to you all. I love the fact that before he'd even made his appearance on Monday Night Raw, masks on the WWE shop, something AEW failed to do in the 5 years that they had him.
I love that somebody had said that it was an accident that all of his merch was leaked 12 hours. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You 100% meant to do
I
that.
do kind of want to get that white shirt. That white shirt looks fire.
It's a pretty sick shirt.
Absolutely love it. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below what your thoughts and feelings are on the week that we've just had.
We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers.
Yes, we've just crossed the 750 subscribers mark, which is absolutely huge for us. Started doing this in August of 2023, and it's been a hell of a year and a half.
Yeah.
Not creeping up on 2 years. It'll be here before we know it.
Get us to 1,000, please.
By our 2-year anniversary, let's get to 1,000 subs. That's your mission. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let's talk wrestling. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms as well. Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. Unless you're in the US, which, sorry.
Just get a VPN and pretend you're in Canada.
Yeah, done. This has been Mr. Dan Danielson. I've been Rowdy Reece. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, down under the mat. Too sweet, baby! Woo!